Sanctuary, surge, siege. To define those is an exercise in rhetoric. But in Minneapolis, each of those words represents a dividing line separating what was from what has become. First, there was sanctuary status. Then a federal immigration enforcement surge. Then what residents and many of their elected officials came to regard as a siege, with all the unwelcome military connotations that particular word conveys. 2 Americans died during these stepped-up immigration enforcement operations, shot in the streets for, well, failing to obey. Many undocumented residents were rounded up. A fair number had criminal records outside their immigration status. The size and scope of this enforcement operation, the largest in our country to date, felt oppressive to those who experienced it. Protests started, then grew. Businesses lost revenue. School attendance fell. It's all over now. Operation Metro Surge is finished. What remains is an exercise in rhetoric, a clash to define what was gained, what was lost.
We have also strengthened our existing coordination with the state to target and take custody of criminal aliens more efficiently and effectively. As a result of our efforts here, Minnesota is now less of a sanctuary state for criminals. We don't want to see any more bloodshed. I don't want to see any more bloodshed. I pray every night for the safety of our law enforcement personnel and the safety of those in the community, whether you're here legally or illegally.
Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz spoke of the cost and damage to Minnesota, but first, the state's Attorney General, Keith Ellison, testified before a Senate committee about these federal immigration sweeps.
This war on Minnesota is retribution, to be sure. Our policies, our values, and how we vote, and it comes at a great cost. Senators, it comes at a cost of the lives of 2 U.S. citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. It comes at the cost of shuttered businesses, Mr. Chairman, disruptions in education for tens of thousands of children, lasting harm to Minnesota's economic prosperity and social cohesion. And it comes at a cost, Mr. Chairman, to our Constitution.
They left us with deep damage, generational trauma. They left us with economic ruin in some cases. While the federal government may move on to whatever next thing they want to do, the state of Minnesota and our administration is unwaveringly focused on the recovery of what they did.
We begin tonight with CBS News immigration correspondent Camilo Montoya-Galvez, who joins me from our broadcast center in New York. Camilo, always good to have you with us. How did Tom Homan, the White House immigration czar, describe what led to this decision, which he noted President Trump agreed with, to end Operation Metro Surge?
Well, Major Trump administration border czar Tom Homan says that the massive federal force in Minneapolis, which at one point stood at over 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol agents in that region, is no longer needed effectively because of increased and expanded cooperation between local, county, state officials and immigration agencies at the federal level, like ICE and Border Patrol. Homan is saying that local officials are now cooperating more fully and comprehensively with ICE, including by allowing local jails to transfer non-citizen inmates accused of local crimes who are also in the country illegally to the custody of ICE so they can be processed for deportation. That was the entire argument from the Trump administration, that it had to deploy this massive force onto the streets of Minneapolis and surrounding communities like St. Paul because local officials were not turning over dangerous criminals who were also in the country illegally. Homan also said, major importantly, that officials have seen a significant reduction in the number of cases of local residents trying to interfere or impede federal immigration operations by ICE and Border Patrol. But make no mistake, even if Homan is not calling it this, Major, it is a significant concession by the administration politically. It has faced tremendous and intensifying pressure politically because of the backlash in Minneapolis, especially after the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good by Border Patrol and ICE, respectively. And in many ways, it is a recognition that the operation was simply becoming too politically toxic.
Now, Camilo, you know better than anyone, because you cover this space every single day, what rhetoric means and what policies and practices on the ground mean sometimes diverge. When Tom Homan says, well, they're getting better cooperation at the jails, well, they were not at the jails for the things that elicited the protests in the streets. They were in the streets. They were going into neighborhoods. You could see them. They were taking videos of their own operations. Citizens in Minneapolis were taking videos of those operations. So that leaves me somewhat confused because they were clearly stopping lots of people in Minneapolis who were not in and who were not near jails. So what's this cooperation dynamic that's being hailed now as a reason to pull back?
It's such a critical point you make, Major, because while, yes, it is true that ICE has been arresting some individuals in that area who are in the country illegally and also have committed or have been alleged to have committed heinous crimes and violent offenses, it's also true that we have seen many videos and evidence of Border Patrol agents, for example, questioning people on an ad hoc, random basis in public places about their citizenship status. In many cases, they're asking American citizens about their immigration status, even though they are here legally and in many cases are U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. In some cases, Border Patrol agents told people on camera that the reason they asked that person for their immigration status was because of their accent. So it is a valid concern that local officials have about the indiscriminate nature of the operation initially, Major.
Camilo Montoya-Galvez, always appreciate your reporting, sir. Thank you so much.